Hi, everybody. I'm Gwendolyn Sterk, and I'm here to have one of our community champions, Tom Grotovsky, with us today. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Gwen?
Good. So, really, when I think about you, Tom, you really wear three hats in our community. So I want to go through those different hats and have you explain a little bit about what you do. The first one really is your business known as the Great American Bagel and Bakery. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I own the Great American Bagel and Bakery in Joliet. It's at 1101 Essington Road, and we're more than just a bagel shop. And I guess people don't always realize that. But basically, we have our own bakery. We're open 7 days a week. We bake all of our bagels are made from scratch. I have people there starting at around midnight, 7 days a week, and we close at 4 o'clock for the most part. So we're open, or we have employees working, I should say, all hours of the day and night. And we serve sandwiches, both breakfast and lunch. You can get it all day long, either one. We have soups, salads, wraps, paninis. We sell all kinds of different canned beverages. We have amazing coffee. We feature a lot of Hawaiian coffees from Hawaiian Paradise Coffee Company in Hawaii. I get it shipped in. Costs me a little bit extra money to do, but it's well worth the quality of the coffee that we serve at the Great American Bagel. We have an amazing following, averaging around 130 to 140 people a day come through our shop, whether by telephone call, curbside pickup, or by coming in, or carry outs. We also have Grubhub and we have DoorDash that we use for our delivery services. We cater through the Great American Bagel. And it's just, I call it Cheers Without Beers, because it's a kind of a meeting place also. And a lot of people come in after they go to, maybe they're at the gym in the morning, they need to get a little bit more energy. A lot of them come in and get some avocado toast, so they have something somewhat healthy.
Sure.
On 10-grain bagel. But they sit around, and some of them sit for an hour or two, and I have some regular customers. We know exactly what they're having. So we've named some specials after them, like the Richard Snyder, the Melissa, Charlene special. Just some people, they just come in every day almost, and we're really happy to have those people as well as the new customers and the old faces. It's a real nice, cozy little place, and we sure enjoy our customers. Very thankful for them. I try to treat them all. I always joke, I said, don't feel special if I treat you poorly, because I treat everybody poorly that comes in. It usually gets a good chuckle out of them, but it's
Sure.
a nice place.
Yeah, I know it's very good. And I know the catering is very good as well. So that's one hat that you have. Another hat that you have is the Unforgettable Chef. Tell us about that.
Well, that's something that I've been doing for years, and it's more private cooking, catering. Tomorrow night, I have a party at someone's house for 8 people in Shorewood, and it's going to be just a nice little get together for a special occasion. And it's individual foods. I basically bring a restaurant into your home. I cook there, and I make some real good friends and some real long-term friendships doing it that way. Normally I cook for 6 people, and it's a 6-course meal paired with wines. And I get to know the people, they get to know me, and we sure share a lot of laughs and a lot of knowledge also. And if you look at my logo, which you had up there, it's a head with food and wine and grapes and different things in it. And being the Unforgettable Chef, it's twofold, because I give knowledge about my cooking experiences, which I started cooking back in 1985. And but also I want that evening, especially, and the food that I serve to stay in your mind. And you can say, wow, the Unforgettable Chef. I remember I was down at Trump Tower at a private residence, and I happened to be invited there. And this guy, the Unforgettable Chef from Okina, shows up, and we just had the best meal you could possibly have. So it's a really great way of meeting people, of doing things, of enjoying special time in the food business. And to me, food brings a lot of people together.
Sure.
And if you add wine, it brings them somewhat closer together or further apart, depending on how much wine they decide to have in a certain day. But it's really a nice full service business where I bring staff with me. And we bring a restaurant right into your home. I bring all the plates and silverware and glasses and everything. And you don't have to do anything at all. You sit and enjoy your time with your friends. We clean the kitchen, and oftentimes we leave it cleaner than when we left or when we arrived. So
Wow.
it's really, really nice.
That's really cool. So, gives an opportunity, especially with what we've all been through in the last year and a half with COVID and everything, to really get your friends in and do something totally different.
Especially right now, we're still in uncertain times.
Right.
So business died for a little while, but it's picked up tremendously right now. And with the anticipation of what might happen in the future, I hope that it doesn't slow down, but there's a possibility it will. And once again, we'll try to do our best to survive through whatever happens. I've been doing it a long time, and I call myself a weeble because I get knocked around quite a bit, but I try to always stand
You
back.
always get back up, which leads me to your third hat. And certainly we're going to give your contact information for somebody listening that might be interested in the former two businesses. But really what you're known in our community for is really what you do to give back or pay it forward. And your reputation speaks for itself. And you're really a trailblazer in our community in this regard. So I had a couple questions for you with regard to it. What really is your inspiration that gives you that title or that third hat to wear?
Well, Gwen, that's a lot to think about, because there's so many fantastic people in the Joliet and Will County area community that give of themselves and give and give and give. And through the Joliet Chamber of Commerce back in 2002, I took community leadership school, which is where a group of about 40 people get together and they learn about the different people in the community, different places in the community. There's bus tours, and they tour different facilities and see how things operate within the city of Joliet and surrounding communities. So I got inspired, and there's a place called Lamb's Fold. And when I got out of community leadership school in 2002, when I graduated, whatever it was, a 16-week course, I don't remember exactly, but I did a food and clothing and baby diaper type thing drive for Lamb's Fold. And I put it together on my own without even thinking anything of it, because I got to meet some people and they're telling me what their needs were. So I ended up getting a couple of vans full of things that people donated to me, and I took it down to Lamb's Fold. And I was inspired by the generosity of the community by doing that. And then I met a man by the name of Joe Adler. And Joe Adler is no longer with us, but he was a really wonderful man, and I was always impressed by him. And I got to know his sons very, very well, Chris and Mike, who's no longer with us either, and Jay and Dan. And Joe came up to me one day and introduced himself. We were at a function, and I had been really pleased to meet him. And he told me, if you give back to the community, Tom, you'll never, ever regret anything you do. Well, Joe started Habitats for Humanity in Joliet there, and was very influential in just about everything you can touch. So he gave me a cell number at that time, and I was so impressed that this man of such grandeur and stature in the community looked at a little guy like me and was willing to give his personal information to me and give me some real fatherly type advice, which I held close to my heart. Then I saw guys in the community like Terry Darcy, who doesn't need mention because he's involved in everything, and
Sure.
J.D. Ross, who was president of the community college, JUCO, and Jim Rolfe, president of First Midwest Bank, and Russ Slinker, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, who's no longer with us either. But all these gentlemen and the ladies that I met along the way, Mary Jaworski, who took over as president, and so many other people in the community that just give of themselves. And it felt like I needed to do that. And one thing that always stood out in my mind, I talked to Terry because he's such a delightful man. And I said, boy, I'm so impressed by what you do for Joliet and everyone else. And he said, you know what, Tom, you're one of us. Right. And it really made me want to do more, because the old saying about if you give somebody appreciation, they'll try to excel even more than what they're doing. So when a guy like Terry Darcy put me in his category, even though I'm not, it really inspired me to really get involved. And I started looking around and seeing the people that are in need within Joliet. And if I can share what I have, because I am blessed in many different ways, the Lord blesses me in ways that I can't even tell you.
Sure.
I can't count the blessings that he's given me. So I try to follow the Bible by, if someone's hungry, feed them. If they're naked, clothe them. If they're in prison, visit them. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. And I think that's the way I try to live my life. And it's been really, really a good thing for me.
Right. And it's really the blessings that you get back for everything you give, you really get a sevenfold in return.
And it's not always, when you're looking to get back, it's not money that you get back.
That's right.
Say, but it's friendships that you get along the way. It's people that come up to you and say, thank you so much. Right. You came to us when we were most in need. Like you knew that we needed whatever it shall be. And I try to help everybody. There's very few that I say no to. And if I have it, I will definitely give.
Right.
And, Oprah Winfrey, and people laugh because I quote Oprah Winfrey, but she at one point said, if you have, give, and if you learn, teach, something to those words. So I always thought that I can share my wisdom, I can share my knowledge, and if I can change one person along the way, I think it's really good.
Right, and it gives you peace and satisfaction as well.
And it really does. And I have a young man that works for me, and I have to tell you, he came from Joliet West on an intern program. Okay. And I was working with one of the people from Joliet West, and they gave me a stack of resumes, and I just took them all, and I called the first one, and the girl answered the phone and said, yeah, who is this? And I said, well, I must have the wrong number. And the next young man answered, and he was very polite. And I asked him if he could come in the morning early for an interview, and he did, because we're in an early morning place. And he came in a shirt and tie, and I was so impressed by James. But he did that, and he told me that they were going on vacation. They'd be back June 10th. And I didn't interview anybody else. So now that June 10th comes around, a couple of years ago, he calls me and says, is the job still available? And I said, sure. So he came and joined my staff, or my family, as I call it. Right. Because my son was in Dallas and he's not around. So I don't really have any other immediate family. So all my employees are my family. And we fight and we hate each other just as all families do,
You love each other too, right?
Yeah, we do. So anytime we get an opportunity to do an outside event, such as we did Saturday night at the Blues Festival at Billy Leemacher Bicentennial Park in Joliet for the Blues Festival, I have him join me because he gets a great deal of knowledge, seeing he's in the culinary arts program at Joliet Junior College now. So, not only giving food or giving gift certificates or giving time or talent to anything, I try to give to my employees the best that I know how. Right. And I think that's a prime example of giving back to the community and taking a young man in high school that's now in college and showing him the ropes and showing him that it's not going to be easy. And that's another way of giving back to the community.
Right. Do you have any words of wisdom for that person who's in business and maybe they've been through a rough time and they say, you know what, it's time for me to start paying it forward and giving back. I don't even know where to start. What would you say to somebody like that in that situation?
As I had to do myself, I had to reach inside myself and say, I'm given all these gifts that I talked about, and they're gifts that I need, but necessarily nothing that I want, or to do some soul searching, to say, well, if someone's in more need than what I really am, and really look at yourself and where's your business going, and what can you give up to help someone else? Reaching your hand out and pointing at somebody laying on the ground and saying how you're laying on the ground is way different than reaching your hand out and taking their hand in yours and pulling them up. And you have to really look and see if you can outreach that hand and not that finger pointing. There's so much negativity in the world, and you have to be the positive light in your life, in your business, in your family, and do everything that you possibly can to help those that are in much more dire need than what you are.
Sure.
And I just found that to be the way to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
So in business, I just say, look at what you really have and what can you give and how
Sure.
can you help someone else.
And it really gives you a purpose and a meaning to going in every day. Work is tough too. Running a business is hard. It comes, not every day is the easy, rosy day, but when you're giving back and you're able to share what you have, it helps you know that you're helping an extended number of people, not just yourself or your immediate people.
And you would know, Gwen, you're a business lady, you're a business person in the community, and you know how difficult it is. I have a new outlook on business owners, what they do, what their devotion is. And I'll give you a good example. My uncle just passed away this past week, and we buried him on Friday. But he owned a business for many years. And when I was younger, I was an employee of his. And I wasn't always the best employee, but I never realized what he was putting into his business. And I was able to say a few words at the luncheon afterwards. And I basically said, if he was here right now, I would apologize to him for not understanding the difficulties that owning a business is. And there's stresses and struggles that you can't share with anybody, that nobody knows what you're going through.
Right.
And I laughed because Saturday, the one girl that's worked for me for about 7 years now, she showed up at the event, and I said something to her, you're my most trusted employee, you know that, right? And I kind of just put my arm around her, and she said, "Oh, what are you drinking already?" Because I'm not always, in that casual mood like that.
Right.
But there's a lot of stresses that you have to overcome, and it's not always easy. It's very, very difficult to own a small business, and especially in this climate.
Right. But when you give back, you get a special reward. You're right. It's not a monetary award, but it's a special meaning and purpose that it brings. And bringing, what you can to the community is such an asset. So I know that we could name organization after organization that you have worked through, and the list would be extensive. But, I would suggest that people find an organization that they can support and start small, and it just grows from there. Don't you think the opportunities, once you start, the opportunities are just going to open up and come to you?
Absolutely. And I started out with Lisa Lass at the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization, and I saw a need that these children had for mentorship in their lives, and it just blossomed. And then I got involved with a little bit with CASA, doing a couple of events with them, and I'm on the board for Easter Seals. And of course, being a businessman, I feel the Joliet Chamber of Commerce is one of the strongest chamber of commerce that I've ever known.
Right.
And I've been involved with that for a long time, and they do a lot for building business within Joliet. So you have to find something that is of interest to you. And it's not always, like you said, it's not always money, but there's two other things, and there's talent and there's treasure, or there's a time. Mm-hmm. And I always find time is way more valuable than money, because when you give your time, there's no way to ever get it back.
That's right.
There's nothing you could ever do, because we all live making history each day of our lives. So there's no day that's ever going to be the same as it was today or yesterday, or tomorrow is not going to be the same in the future. So we're always making history. So we can never get that time back, but we can always make more money. We can always find more money to spend somewhere along the line, or talent. And I talked about talent with this young man. I can take and try to be a mentor to him going to college and learning about the culinary arts, because it's a tough business too. Food service, we don't have a whole lot of a markup that we put on it.
Sure.
And, I joke around because people sometimes think that food is free. So the Keebler elves don't come in and, bring all their supplies and bake my stuff. I
Right.
buy the flour and the yeast and the sugar and the salt. Nobody gives it to me. And then I have to pay somebody to make it into a sellable product. So the problem with food is that it's disposable. So one of my plumbing friends, Bob Fox from Omega Plumbing in Joliet, we had a conversation once, and I said, Bob, if you have a job that doesn't work out for you and all those plumbing pieces and fixtures are on your shelf, they're not going to go bad. But I can't throw a bunch of bagels on my shelf because they're going to spoil.
Right, they're going to go bad. Yeah.
So every day of the year, except for the 8 major holidays that were closed, I have about $300 in sales worth of bagels that goes back into the community of Joliet. And most of it goes to either the Will County Adult Detention Facility or it goes to the Morning Star Mission.
Sure.
And two places that there's people in need and people that are incarcerated and people that are hungry. And I think that it's very important that we take care of all of those people like that. So out of my pocket, I give of myself in the food, but in my heart, I know that I'm being taken care of. And
Right.
I always have everything that I've ever needed placed within my hands. And I wake up in the morning thanking God for that every single day of my life.
Sure. Well, so much to do. And I think that the best thing you said this whole program was you can make your own history, and each day is a blessing and each day is an opportunity for you to make history, and you really choose what you do with that time. So time is our most valuable asset, but right?
Absolutely.
So,
It's like our eyes. One time I was talking to my son about our strongest sense, and he opened my eyes by saying, Dad, you can see the sun. How far away is that? Your strongest sense that you have is your vision. And if you have a vision to make the community a better place to live, a better place to work, a better place to educate your children, then you're using your best sense that you have, besides your eyes, but what comes from within you, to look and see how strong that really is. Have a vision of what the future of where you work and live is, and you'll be a good business person.
absolutely. Well, we really appreciate your time today. I think that this has been a real inspiration just to give us a different perspective. We do have an opportunity to make history today. And the other thing that you said, I think that is so telling is if you change one person, you've made an impact. And, we can't go out and you don't have to say you're going to change the world, but you certainly have to make one step at a time. So thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Gwen. I really enjoyed my time, and thanks for having confidence in me to share the message.
I appreciate it so much. And again, we're going to share the contact information. Go out into the Great American Bagel and Bakery. And then if you're having an event or you want to have something in your home, call Tom. It sounds fun to have the Unforgettable Chef, something I want to put on the agenda for our own firm. So, all right. Thanks again. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.